GangsterBet is Icon's next generation NFT collectibles of 5,555 gangsters and detectives, with changeable names and stats. Holders of GangsterBet NFTs receive daily distributions of GBet tokens. GBet can be used to upgrade their NFT skills and stats. The supply of GBet will decrease over time and will stop after 9 years. Holding GangsterBet NFTs will have opportunities for future airdrops and will give you access to GangsterBet's highly anticipated metaverse. Learn more at gangsterbet.io. Shout out to our sponsors at IconBet. Open source, decentralized gaming, no deposits, play straight from your wallet. IconBet, made by the players, for the players. Eye on Icon is proudly supported by Icon Nation and the Icon community. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Eye on Icon. This episode, we reached out to InsurAce and we've got Dan, who's the Chief Marketing Officer? No. Have I got that right? Yes, excellent. So me and Dan have a bit of history. I originally, when we were doing some tutorials, Dan reached out and I created a tutorial for InsurAce, and naturally we got talking and long story short, we worked into a partnership. Icon got into a partnership, balanced particularly with InsurAce, and what a perfect way to introduce the community. So I asked Dan to come on the show, and he's kindly agreed. So Dan, welcome to Eye on Icon. How are you today?
Very, very good. Thank you so much, mate. It's a pleasure, honestly. You did one of the better tutorials, and so it's nice to actually have some follow up. Always good to sort of like build on existing relationships rather than being out there searching the sort of, let's call it the metaverse now for all the for all anything new. So yeah, happy to help and happy to sort of be here and talk more about the project.
Yeah. Look, same. I never envisioned a quick conversation would lead to getting balanced, listed, and an official partnership, which was fantastic. So, but before we dive into all of that, Dan, let's talk a bit about you. Given that where you are, you got a job in crypto. A lot of people who especially stick around for not the moon boys, actually want to make a difference. Getting a job in crypto is a big deal, right? So could you tell us your story, how you got involved in crypto, and lead it to how you got involved with InsurAce?
Yeah, sure. No, it's very funny. I do the whole digital nomad thing. So everywhere I go, as I say, I work in crypto. Everyone assumes I'm a trader, but when you're actually building a project, everyone it's obviously very sought after thing right now. But so yeah, myself, I've actually been in the space. I think I bought my first Bitcoin 2015. So loosely in from 2015, had an interest. I actually have a sort of hospitality mixture of hospitality and finance background, so it's a bit of a mix, sort of balance between the two, as well as a few of my own businesses. Some more successful than others. Then in 2017, I started a fund based out of Gibraltar in Europe, and started basically an index fund from there, which was one of Europe's first sort of like private funds for crypto, which was great. And then obviously, the pandemic happened, and I sort of moved out of that, and then found the job with InsurAce actually around this time last year. So it's been a year working full time in DeFi, in crypto since 2017, and actually loosely getting involved since about 2015. But seeing the potential, and even with those very, very early Bitcoin, which I'm very, very happy to still own and hodled the whole way through, which is great. I have very smartly actually kept those original sort of Bitcoin locked away from myself for not a rainy day, but I call it sort of my future boat fund, which is quite good fun.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I honestly, like, it's an interesting point about working in crypto because obviously it's very aspirational at the moment, and people get very excited about it. Even if you mention the word NFT or work in crypto DeFi, people get excited. They want to know more. And I actually have a small bit of advice here that a lot of people might find useful, is if they are looking for a job in crypto these days, experience is one thing, but what people really value is getting involved. So finding a project you like, getting involved in a DAO, getting involved in a community, and actually like working and helping to promote, just naturally, just being yourself, promote the project, you will get spotted, you will get noticed, and the team, may ask you to come on board. But just by having a bit of basic community management or support experience will go a very, very long way in terms of actually securing a crypto job if you're not a developer directly.
Yeah, no, that is great advice, and you see it all the time, especially when ecosystems start to expand. A lot of those people who have been adding a ton of value in there, whether it be from content or their niche skill set, you see them get absorbed into the group as it starts to grow. So it's valid, and it brings home the point: why isn't your coin doing anything versus get in there as a community and help create value or in some way shape or form, and who knows, you get something from it. So love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's actually a great point. When people, most people want to know about is price action, and so when the coins aren't necessarily doing much, it's everyone's like, oh, when's the team going to do this? When's the team going to do this? As if we're not, as if we're just sort of sitting around watching the coin do nothing. We're basically doing things. We're not just sitting around doing nothing. So, yeah, it's a tough one because we do want to get the community more involved, but even that's hard because again, if they just want to be paid and get incentives and
Mhm.
don't realize the value of all working together and how much more you can accomplish.
Yeah.
But it's a big part of what we do. Well, a big part of my job as a CMO to try and engage the community and utilize them as much as possible.
So okay, and this is great because my perception of InsurAce was I knew Nexus Mutual. At this point in time, I was very interested in Nexus Mutual because I've worked in traditional insurance for 20 years. So when I was interested in crypto and I saw insurance, I'm like, oh my god, if there's one place my skill set could transfer, it has to be this. So, and at the time, Nexus Mutual was the only insurance platform. Then, out of the blue, I heard of InsurAce, but it wasn't like it took time. It felt like InsurAce just hit the ground running and just, it wasn't one insurance product. It started adopting a lot of protocols. I'm keen to hear that story. How did that happen? Was it like that from the inside, um, or yeah, did it just appear that it grew quickly from the outside?
I bit of both really. So yeah, obviously you had Nexus Mutual had a huge sort of like 2 year advantage on the entire market. They got in super early and have obviously built up a huge sort of protocol, which is super impressive. I think you then had Cover come in next, as well as some sort of fringe crypto insurance options like Ether Risk. And so yeah, like Cover was a bit of an issue because they sort of created a product, but they didn't create a product, but they created a token, got listed on Binance, and then they got hacked, and then that opened up a
Yes,
whole
I remember
all
that one.
and then yeah, so Oliver, our founder, he actually came up with the idea back in September 2020, so around the time that the DeFi summer was coming to an end. And we had our IDO January last year. I got involved in March last year, so I got involved literally just before the mainnet launch. So since then, you're talking what's that 4, 5, 6 months development to a mainnet, which is very fast,
Mm.
right? And historically, our tech guys are some of the fastest builders in this space. I mean, they're very very talented, extremely fast developers. So yeah, so it does feel like it has been just go go go. I mean, I remember when I came on, they said we're launching our mainnet next week. The day I signed the contract, they're like, okay, yeah, we're launching our mainnet next week, and I was like, okay, cool. Where's what plans have you got? What's the marketing plan? Well,
Yeah.
where's our strategy, social media, everything else? They're like, oh, we thought you could do that. I'm like, in a week, you want to launch a whole new project launch, and I was like, okay, all right, let's get on this. So,
Yeah.
and it hasn't really stopped. So they will drop things on me with about 2 days notice for like a major announcement that they told me was going to be a month or two away, and then suddenly they're all right, we're done now. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of that's how insurance going to start up. Oliver and Sam, the CTO, and James and the rest of the team, like they are just such incredible builders and so focused. I mean, they don't sleep. They're proper tech. Proper tech sort of crypto and fintech guys. They do not ever sleep. I mean, I swear they are they're based in Singapore. I'm based the other side of the world, and I swear they sleep for like 2 hours a night because they're just messaging nonstop throughout the day for me as well. And yeah, so obviously we built up the project, and it's just it's been a crazy start. So we essentially started on Ethereum,
Mm,
and then at the same time as gas fees are going up, and it's very unfortunate timing. So around like sort of April, we had the peak of the market last year, and then obviously coming into May and everything starts dropping, and usually the first ones to get hit are the sort of latest ones into the market, right? Sort of like
yeah,
last in, first out kind of thing, which did put a bit of pressure on us.
yeah,
But then, again, we are fast builders and we've been focusing on building ever since, which is why it's now been such a crazy year for development. So we've ended up deploying on 4 different chains since then. So we're on Ethereum, Binance, Polygon, and Avalanche.
yeah,
And we now cover over 100 different protocols
yeah,
and have
wow.
covered around 200 million worth of assets since our inception. I'm trying to remember some other stats. It's been a crazy year. So we've actually been generating quite a decent amount of revenue for the first sort of like 9 months.
Yeah, okay. So let's pause for a moment. I'm gonna a little later go down the marketing path because that's very prominent in our community. But before we go there, I wanted to talk about the insurance coverage itself. So we know you offer insurance to protocols and DeFi in nature. What is the exact type of cover that you offer? Are there multiple covers, or is it just a particular in type of cover?
Yeah, so we offer the main type of cover we offer is smart contract cover, right? So
Yeah.
that protects the user's assets against hacks. I mean, if you look at the DeFi space in 2020, there was like $120 million worth of hacks. On a 1 billion up to 6 billion TVL by the end of it. By the end of 2021, you're looking at a $300 billion TVL in DeFi, so a monster increase,
Mm.
uh, as we all know, with a something around like 2.5, 3 billion worth of hacks, between 1.5, 3 billion, depending on who you ask in the
Yeah.
market and which research you're following. But even then, like that, huge increase, 100% increase into I don't know, 1,000% increase in up to even 1.5 billion loss in DeFi in
Mm.
hacks and bugs. So there's a huge market there, and the um, the main type of risk that we cover is smart contract risk. So you've got your funds locked into balanced, for example, you know, um, and say the funds there were locked in, and there's either a bug in the smart contract or a hacker decides to exploit your sort of smart contract because something he finds, he or she, and then they can withdraw your assets, and your assets would be lost otherwise,
Yeah.
unless the protocol were to pay out and reimburse you, which has been the case in some instances, but is becoming less and less common. Most
Mm.
likely, depending on how much is stolen, some of the protocols will just wrap up and disappear. So we protect against those risks. Other main risks we do are stablecoin depegs. So if
Okay.
a
Yeah.
stablecoin loses peg because it's under collateralized, or um, possibly any other event that causes a DPEG for a sustained amount of time. And we also do IDO insurance, and we have custodian risk. So say you've got some your trading assets locked onto Binance, we can cover those trading assets for a few percent.
Okay. Yeah. So the type of coverage offered has expanded since I was dabbling in things, which is great to hear. Cool. Okay. So now the claims process. So you've covered the types of cover you offer. We know your protocols you've started listing. While you're available on 4 chains, you still insure protocols across many more chains, don't you?
Yeah, so we've now got 17 public chains that we cover,
Wow.
which is great, and so we do cross chain. So for a lot of the time, it's fairly simple. I mean, you might go onto um, I don't know, let's say you're going to go onto Auto Farm using, I don't know, Polygon network, for example. You can stake your assets in Auto Farm and then come over to us. and insure it on auto farm. Same wallet
Mm.
address, same everything, makes it nice and easy.
Yeah.
But we do actually do, multi-chain. So we can cover other ecosystems that we're not deployed on yet. So everything from Solana, Phantom, Harmony, Boba, CeeLo, XDAI. There's 17. I'm not going to be able to name them
Yeah,
all.
yeah, no.
The main ones, right? So
I'm
run the
waiting
main.
for it. Icon. Yep, yep. Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah. We'll get there. And Yeah, so so we're launched on 17 different chains. We cover 17 different chains. We launched on four, and the way that the cross chain works is basically that it's exactly the same. You have your assets locked in. You into one of the protocols. Let's say it's on Solana, um, and you'd come to us. You'd have to use Avalanche, Polygon, Binance, or Ethereum to make the payment and make the purchase of your
Mm.
insurance with us. And in the event of a claim, all you'd have to do is be able to prove your ownership of that wallet through sort of some microtransactions.
Yep. Well, that's cool. And so is there KYC anything through that claim process, or is it more?
No, no KYC, all
Yeah,
it's all on chain,
yeah.
all about KYC.
And how does one determine that it is an event, a claimable event? So, what's the process? Because obviously something happens, and there's a big process in terms of identifying if it was a vulnerability in the smart contract or someone just, finding a way to create a loophole. What's the process around that?
Yeah, so as soon as we get a claim in, it comes to our insurance experts, who are a mixture of our own dev teams, actuaries, as well as legal and accounting. These experts put together a report, and this report is then submitted to the community, who can then vote on the to accept or reject. So essentially, these are insure token holders who then
Yep.
stake with our platform to make a vote, and then the winning side of the vote gets rewarded. In the event of accepted claim, then we pay out pretty much immediately. We've got all the capital reserves ready. In the event of a rejected claim, there is an option to appeal the process, which does go back to our advisory team at the moment, who put the report together to make a final decision. However, we see that there's a slight flaw in that, so there is a plan B that is ready should we need it, which is to go to a secondary DAO as a
Mm.
judiciary DAO. So there's Kleros.io, which works very nicely as a independent judiciary DAO, who can literally do a second vote on this for us if it comes to that. I mean, for now we haven't we haven't had to go down that route yet, so we haven't had to explore the options, but we have those two options ready for when we need to.
Okay, that's great. No, I appreciate that. Breaking that down a little bit. Now, uh, with the token, so we've covered obviously token holders can then have a vote. Now, if people listening are wondering, oh, but they could deny, it's actually not in the platform's best interest. It's in the platform's best interest and token holders' best interest to evaluate the claim fairly, because at the end of the day, that's what will secure more business. I mean, if there was a particular event, it was a vulnerability, and they had insurance and it gets paid out, yes, there's an incurred cost, but that's what builds confidence in the platform, right? Because this kind of stuff is new in DeFi, and I know when it was definitely coming about, people were uh, critical in the sense that yes, this is great, but we want to see it work. We want, as with any insurance, even in traditional insurance, you won't run to a new insurance company because you're worried what will happen in an event of a claim. Will they actually pay
Yeah.
out? You'll kind of go to. So as time is going on, and the longer insurance just stays around in DeFi, and the more claims that come through and the process actually works, it secures business and helps grow the protocol. So I know I covered that side of it for you, but what I'm keen to know is what else is in there from the token holders. From a staking, is there revenue shares? Is there anything else as part of the tokenomics?
Um, yeah, I mean, you're completely right. About the use case. I mean, we it's probably a question we get at least once a day in our community about, have we had any claims? And the answer is we've had two claims, both of which were rejected. One just didn't submit any evidence at all, and the other one wasn't a hack. So
Hmm.
you're right, a few valid claims that we pay out, which we have the funds ready for would be great from a perspective, and a proof of concept would be amazing, and it really would turbocharge us to the next sort of level to prove that this is a valuable part of DeFi, and it's very needed. But again, we can say that till the cows come home. But the other day, it's and the proof's in the pudding when it actually does have a legitimate claim accepted. But yeah, the token, the Insure token at the moment is mostly just the governance for the claims, which
Mhm.
means if we don't have any claims, is a bit frustratingly limited. However, we are about to bring out our V2. So our V2 comes out this quarter, so next month, most likely, or the end of this month, with the white paper coming out very soon, actually, which gives the token a lot more use, including revenue shares,
Oh, okay.
and more use cases within the app itself. So yes, there are a lot more uses coming up for the Insure token. As of now, it is mostly governance, which and rewards, which is one thing, but again, with a tough market for them since the last 9 months since we've launched, has been is a bit of struggle on price. We
Yeah.
try not to talk about price too much, because we are builders, and we are trying to build a project for the long term, not just short term shills. And I could have spent all the marketing budget on shilling price, and I'm sure it would drum up a load of support, but also a lot of anger when there's no real value there. Whereas we are building real value, and we have actual revenue generation, which is something that a lot of DeFi can't really say.
Yeah, look, it's good that you say that, because I wanted to go down a little bit of a marketing part. So, you shared this before, where you often find yourself 2 days before getting a whole lot of stuff dumped on you, going, "This is a big thing. We got to get all this arranged, and and you got to make it happen." But in your general experience, how have you found marketing in crypto? Like, what do you find is very effective or strategic in terms of marketing? Because there's one side of it where, as you said, people will just want you to go out to shillers and shill this coin, but that's not really long-term growth material. So, keen to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so we don't really find any value in the shilling, right? So the
Mm,
shilling can be done. The shilling, the airdrops, the sort of trying to artificially build community and pump price. It has its place for some tokens. It has its place in the industry, and there is a slight benefit to it in terms of awareness. But the
mm,
people who you are making aware are not necessarily the people who are actually buying a product at the end of the day. So are they real? Is there real value to them? Is there a real return on your investment? However, there are also smarter ways to do it. An airdrop, you can do a very limited version of it. You don't have to do 10 tokens to every person who signs up for the airdrop. You can do 10 tokens to the first 500 people who sign up,
mm.
because you're still going to end up with like 20,000 new sort of email addresses, albeit a very significant chunk of it will be bots and repeated things. So you've got to have a good system for filtering that down. So the shilling and the sort of basic tactics are good for quick sort of number build,
Yeah.
but do they build any real value for you? No. Yeah, in terms of overall marketing, I think that obviously the obvious ones, Twitter, Telegram, Discord,
Mm,
Reddit, but just constant good quality content. It is hard because you kind of want to have the sort of entry level stuff for new users to
mhm.
understand the project, but then you also need to have the sort of technical side of it, things for the full degens who want to go dig deep. Because I mean, there's even people in the communities, crypto communities, are super intelligent to begin
Mm.
with, and they're also very detail orientated. So there are many times where I have something pointed out to me by the community, which will be a direct quote from me from about 6 months ago. And I'm like, I don't remember what I said last week. And these guys are quoting me back to me from 6 months ago, and I'm just like, they're like, "Oh, you said this 6 months ago." I'm like, how 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 do you even remember that? I don't I don't even remember that. So you've got to be on top of things and make sure that everything's consistent. But yeah, the hardest thing for marketing in crypto, two hardest things. First of all, finding the people, because people either have marketing experience or they have crypto experience. There's very few people who have both.
Mm.
So people say they understand crypto. When you actually start asking them about it, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I have a bit of Bitcoin, a bit of Ethereum, a bit of Shiba Inu," right? And
Strike.
And that conversation seems to sort of like disappear quite quickly after that. Or you get the sort of people who've already been working in crypto or are involved who end up just trying to ask for too much money, or just it's they don't actually really understand the marketing side. They don't understand how to actually use half the platforms you need, and video is such an important thing this year. So that so it's finding people who can actually make videos is really really tough thing that if people want to get into the space, if you want to make it, just start making videos, and there's a load of money in it for people who can do that in a half decent way.
Yeah.
So one of the hardest things is recruiting. The other hardest thing is the actual sort of time frame. So it's like I mentioned earlier. So I get about 2 days notice for any sort of big announcements. If you look at traditional marketing, you get weeks, if not months, of like lead up and build. So you can plan full campaigns. You can build like the sort of build up. You can build everything else. That's just non-existent in crypto at most. Some people work off 2 weeks, which I think is a luxury for them. When like booking like a 2 week marketing plan, and I'm just like, how are you planning just for two whole weeks? Like, you must have other developments coming up the whole time. That's not possible.
Yeah.
So, generally we're very, again, our builders are very fast, so I have to be fast as well. So I think we're a bit of extreme. I think most people are in between sort of 4 or 5 days to 2 weeks in terms of like marketing lead time, which is still significantly shorter than most people would have for any other marketing campaign, any other industry. So for us, I mean, that's the other hard thing, is actually getting these like last minute quick sort of campaigns out, because we've got to get it out, because in next week there'll be something else. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that's the toughest thing. There's always, like, we have, I think, 3 different partnerships a week we announce. We have different listings every other day. We have all of our other project launches, any other events. Plus, this year we're attending pretty much most of the crypto conferences as well. So
Mm.
we have to do all of this on top of that, with our V2
Yeah.
coming out and new projects on the side. So it's crazy, and there is just no time.
No, yeah, for you it would be insane because you're not bound by one chain. You're literally every of those 17 chains, and I'm sure it keeps expanding. Any new protocol that launches could potentially one reach out to submit for an evaluation to get listed, and then that forms a lot of your workload as well. So, um, ah,
Oh
you
yeah.
must love your job.
Honestly, like, it's again, it's that our community will spot things before I do. So,
Hmm.
I'll be on one of these calls, and or one of these interviews, and I'll say we're on 17 chains, and then someone will be like, "No, you're not. You're on 18." I'm like, "Okay, which
Yeah.
one are we? Which one are we covering now that I didn't realize?"
Hmm.
Which actually, I'm actually going to fact check myself quite quickly now, because I it may also be, it may also be 18 already. I don't know, 17 still.
Yeah. That's 17. Okay. Okay. No, look, that's great. I think that's quite a thorough overview about everything. Is there anything you feel we haven't spoken about specifically around InsurAce that you want to get out there to the Icon community and anyone else listening?
Uh, I guess probably future plans. So we are continuing to expand multi-chain,
Mhm.
bringing out some new products. So we've got things like NFT insurance coming out, rug pull insurance, some well needed. We've got cross-chain bridge insurance coming up as well. So these are aspects
Mhm.
that help protect the user more. The end goal for us really is direct integration. So we're in quite deep conversations with quite a few different protocols now. We've already worked with a few aggregators for them to integrate our services so that they can, resell what we do. But the end goal really is to have this as an automatic sort of inclusion in staking with the protocol level, right? So they might take off a couple of percentage points APY, but then that comes to the insurance company. But then all of your funds are completely protected. That really is the end goal here, to have automatic sort of insurance included in your staking, so you don't have to think about it. And we're trying to work towards making that as easy as possible as well. So we're looking to update our app in our V2 as well, which in a way that you can basically connect your wallet, and it will show you all the different positions you have locked
Mm.
into different protocols, a bit like the eight board.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it will show you all the different protocols you have listed, and or all the different protocols that you have that we list already that have assets in, and then it will give you a suggested sort of one-click insure everything now.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Okay.
one of our biggest issues is, oh, go on.
Sorry, I was going to ask, will it, so basically, based on what you have in your wallet and what your platform offers, show you the yield options you can pick and get insurance with? So you could go straight through the protocol, or it still requires you to interact with the DeFi protocol separately?
Yeah, so that will depend on how the different protocols use our API. So that's
Okay.
on the protocol level. On our dashboard level, yeah, I'm saying that there could be an easy way of basically like auto selecting everything you're already in, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the biggest issue for completing all these tasks is our capacity issues.
Mm.
Capacity issues are basically that we can't oversell any one particular protocol or any one particular chain because it creates a concentration risk for us.
Yeah.
So, like,
Okay.
we could sell out of Anchor and sort of UST DPEG insurance like 10 times over if we wanted to. We could just we'd never run out of capacity for
Mhm.
that. Which on the one hand is fantastic, on the other hand is very frustrating because it's another daily question. Actually, probably about 10 times a day. This one is when's there going to be more capacity available, and we are working on a few different options for that, including reinsurance options. We're looking at chain aggregation, so you can share the capacity across different chains. We're looking at working with different protocols and different DAOs to apply their treasury to us. We do have an
Mm.
excellent mining program, which is our staking. So it's labeled as underwriting mining, but it's actually our staking, where users can earn something like 40% APY, 50% APY, even like 30% on a stable coin sometimes. So
Mm.
you can get some really, really good returns from us on staking with us, which does help us to increase the capacity. The biggest concern for people is that does the underwriting, mining, and staking with us, it's having more of a risk
Mm.
because it forms part of the capital pool. And the answer is technically yes,
Mm.
because obviously if there are a few claims, then the staking pools get used for this. However, the risk is relatively minimal. You're talking about we don't oversell, so we've only got a 2x multiplier. So at the moment, we've got something like 35 million TVL,
Mhm.
which means which means we can sell about 70 million in terms of coverage. So there's only a 2x there. Now, in the event of a payout, it comes out of premium pools and reserve funds first before hitting user staked funds.
Mm.
The Even then, because we have this limitation on capacity for any one protocol and any one chain, it means that actually your stake's fairly safe, fairly risk free, because to actually impact that, you'd need to have a hack on about 10 different protocols at the same time at full capacity, with every single wallet that has been covered affected by the hack,
Mm.
which most hacks are about 10 to 20% of the TVL. So that's already 10% to 20% of the possible wallets and possible funds in there. So then you've got to then assume they've also bought coverage as well. So you're really talking about quite a small chance, even in the event of like a big hack, of the wallets being affected. So to actually start to affect our staking pools is actually relatively
Mm.
small chance. Now, this should mean that we should be, opening up our capacity and selling a lot more. But which would be my opinion would be to that. But luckily, our tech guys and our
The risk.
actuary a lot more risk
Yeah.
averse than I am, and so they are a lot more careful about these kind of things and have their rules and their algorithms in place to avoid any sort of concentration risks. But that doesn't stop us growing. I mean, we're sort of growing 60% month on month, which is great, and the insurance is selling, which is fantastic. So it's still getting there. It will take time, but it's capacity is the biggest issue, and we are working to solve it.
Yeah, it's good you shared that because you're right. Like it is in setting up foundationally is instrumental with insurance, and yes, you could sell out. I do recall when you launched on Anchor and stuff, the demand was crazy. It was just that was probably a hit product right there because adoption was going crazy. People wanted to insure, and it you have to limit it because in an event you do not want to expose yourself too on one side and basically ruin all your reserves to pay out claims. So it's good to see that kind of safety being put in place right from the start. And I'm glad you touched on it. Hopefully, anyone listening has ever been wondering, these are the reasons. Dan just covered it perfectly. So great stuff.
Yeah, we
Um,
keep a general sort of 5% rule for most things. So, if no one protocol can have more than 5% of our total sort of available payout. So, we've got 4 different chains, 100 different protocols. So we make sure that each protocol can't have more than 20% of the capacity on one chain, but split across 4 chains is 5% of our total TVL. So this is again why I say like users' funds are really safe staked with us, because even in the event of a hack on like one of the biggest ones that we've at full capacity, again, even if all the affected wallets are there, the maximum we can pay out is about 5%.
Yep, yep. And so you touched on this before, but just to expand on it very quickly. So users have the ability to either stake their insurance token or actually bring collateral types like ETH and stablecoins, and essentially they add it to the protocol where they get yield in the form of the token distribution. And the reason what you'll do with that is it's kind of shoring up your accounts in an event of, and allows you to assess how much insurance you can offer based on how much capital you have, and all the percentages you talked about, basically. So in an event of a claim, there's enough money to pay out, but also insurance risk has been put into the asset generation pools to make sure they don't get depleted. So,
Yeah.
yes, there is a risk. You'll very much so call out the risk of putting the funds in there, but the protocol is designed in such a way to not take on those risks. Baskets, let's say, to not fall into that fault. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
um, yeah, cool.
Yeah, so we cover, on the 4 different chains. So you've got the stable coins on all 4 chains, UST, USTC, DAI, and then you have the main coins on each. So AVAX, Matic, BNB, and ETH, as well as WETH and Ensure that you can stake as well. So there's a few different options for, stake. Each has a dynamic sort of APY, depending on how much we require at any one time, which, means that we get some good APYs generally. But yeah, there is actually one thing before I forget, that there is another thing we do that's very unique, which is our referral program. So users can sign up for a referral, which means that they can anyone they refer, they'll get 5% reward on chain, and the person they refer will also get a 5% reward. So it's like a 5% for the referrer and 5% for the referee,
Yeah,
which
okay.
is like a little touch that we do. And we see a lot of the protocols we work with now sort of adding links to their apps and their site to encourage users, which at the end of the day is what we're here to do, is to keep people safe. So anything we can do to help sort of incentivize that is a huge one. So that's been great for marketing purposes as well.
Yeah, awesome. No, well, throw us a link. I'll have it in the show notes. If people stumble on this and then decide to take out insurance, they can use the link. No, that's great.
Yeah, use a link below. Don't use anyone else's. Use
Yeah,
my referral.
exactly. Use it mine, damn it. Yeah, no. Look, that's great. Really, honestly, like for me, I followed you all right at the start, and I've just seen it go expand very quickly. And when I compare Nexus Mutual, set itself up very different, and I found it was very hard to just get in. Even insurance, like if they were at capacity most of the time and things like that, it was just hard to get started with them. Versus when I used InsurAce, I was a few clicks, I was able to take out cover. I was like, oh, this is pretty nifty. So yeah, it was great to have you on the show, Dan, and talk about your experience and just learn a lot more about the protocol, things that I haven't explored or done tutorials yet about, which I said I would. So I'll come back to that. But thank you, Dan, for coming on the show. Really appreciate your time.
That's my pleasure. It's been fun. It's been a nice way to start my Tuesday morning.
Love it, love it. Okay, well, we'll get you on soon. You've touched on many things, Dan. For example, interoperability, bridge insurance, which Icon is whole ethos is interoperability. And we're about to launch our flagship product, which is BTP, blockchain transmission protocol. So I need to get back in a group with Scott and a few other people to start talking some possible future partnership opportunities as well around these things. So, looking forward to that, and hopefully it can get utilized in different ways as well within InsurAce. So that would be
Yeah,
really cool.
we're always open to build. We're always open to building. Like I said, our tech guys are great. So I come up with random ideas every so often, people to work with. So, for instance, like the rug pull insurance I talked about, we're working on that with the rug doc, right?
Oh
We
yeah.
work on the dashboard and openness. We're actually working with 8board on that. So
Yeah.
there are actually different people we work with all the time, not just based on like listing protocols and partnerships,
Yeah.
but we are partnering with auditing firms, bug bounty firms, even like asset recovery firms. We are trying to do this full sort of 360 approach. Isn't just listing random protocols that are just borrowing and lending. But yeah, we always think of creative ways to work with people if we can, because this is crypto. This is this is the way. It's about building and working together, and this it's not so much about competition and us versus them. Even with Nexus or Unslashed or anyone else, it's not about competing. There's such a huge addressable market. The space is growing so fast. The brain power, the money coming in, is enormous. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're here to make it all safer and be that safety net for people who need it. And no single insurance protocol will be able to do that themselves. There will always be multiple options in the market,
Yeah.
and we're just there to work with everyone and make it the safest space it can be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there won't be one to rule them all. It's funny, Dan. You gave this. You spoke about the DeFi market. TVL locked in DeFi. At this point in time, when I was getting into DeFi, we just crossed 1 billion. Or was it million? What do we? Yeah, no, 1 billion. And at around 2 billion, I made a pitch at my traditional insurance company, Smart Contract Insurance, because they were saying, "Oh, come up with some ideas." And I worked in the IT sector, so I put together this presentation, and I went, and I was like, in 6 months, we went from 2 billion, and we're about to cross 3 billion. And anyway, everyone laughed. Crypto, risk appetite. No. 3 months later, 4 months later, I spoke to my boss. He's like, "So what? How many billion are we up to?" And it was like 40 billion. His eyes came out of his socket. It was like, I was like, "Yeah, I was trying to call out how quickly the space is growing." And just about that time, InsurAce came onto the into the scene, and love it. But I always think back at that story, and I have such a laugh going. And this is why I can't work in traditional insurance anymore, because very much everything comes down to the old-fashioned way. Anything else, the risk appetite's too big. As in, they won't even explore it. This is what we know how to do. But then, as technology evolves, and something like the Uber of taxi service and things like that.
There are some solutions moving in. So you've got Coin Cover, which is covering sort of crypto, starting to cover some crypto and crypto wallets. You've got some solutions for exchanges, because they're obviously centralized companies at the end of the day. You've got some solutions, not some solutions yet, but things like Lloyd's and Names have just both registered companies in Bermuda to tackle sort of DeFi, or at least bridge over some way. So we'll probably end up where we'll probably end up is we'll probably end up working with them, using them sort of reinsurance, because how it will work from a regulation standpoint, we're still looking at that. But they are setting up sort of crypto arms based out of legislative locations where they can get away with it. So but Bermuda is the sort of preferred one, it seems, for now. It seems like everyone who's looking for crypto insurance is trying to register a company in Bermuda.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Cool. Okay, Dan. I think for the third time, thank you, Dan. Really enjoyed our chat. See, as soon as I'm saying bye, I'm like, "Oh, I want to ask you about this."
We'll do
So,
another one.
yeah, definitely. Thanks, man. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.